no, she looks guilty as hell. And then I'm looking at it and I'm saying, did you really say that? Mm-hmm. Did you really say that Caitlin Clark should thank her Heavenly Stars that she wouldn't be worth anything if she wasn't playing in the WNBA? Did you really say? See, all of these things that Nafisha Collier brought up.
Imagine owning a business that's been struggling for nearly 3 decades, barely keeping its head above water. And suddenly, a miracle happens. A once-in-a-generation talent walks through the door, bringing millions of new customers, record-breaking revenue, and the kind of global attention you've only dreamed of. Most CEOs would throw a parade. They'd clear the path, provide every protection possible, and ride that wave to the moon. But the WNBA isn't most businesses. According to shocking new reports and a series of blistering critiques from industry heavyweights like Stephen A. Smith, the league isn't just failing to support its biggest star, it might actually be trying to sabotage her. We're talking about Caitlin Clark, the girl from Iowa who didn't just join the WNBA. She saved it. But instead of a thank you, she's reportedly being met with boardroom rage, executive jealousy, and a level of internal hostility that defies logic. When Stephen A. Smith recently exposed the pure rage coming from the league office, it sent shockwaves through the sports world. Why would a commissioner be angry that her league is finally profitable? The answer is darker than most fans realize. It's a story of ego, a desperate grab for control, and of old guard mentality that would rather see the league stay small than let one player become bigger than the system. But the real chaos started with a commercial. Not just any commercial, but a high-budget, cinematic masterpiece that put the WNBA on a pedestal it had never occupied before. You'd think the league would be popping champagne. Instead, they were allegedly calling emergency meetings and fuming behind closed doors. This wasn't about a shoe or a drink. It was about the moment the WNBA realized they no longer owned a narrative. When the From Anywhere campaign dropped, featuring Clark alongside cultural icons and high-end production, it sent a clear message. Caitlin Clark is a global brand, and she doesn't need the WNBA's permission to be one. For Commissioner Kathy Engelbert and the league office, this was a nightmare disguised as a victory. For 27 years, the WNBA has controlled the image of its players. They decided who was marketed, how they were presented, and what the face of the league looked like. It was a carefully curated, collective-first approach. Then came the Nike deal. The Gatorade spots. The State Farm takeover. These weren't clunky, low-budget local ads. They were premium, world-class marketing. The problem? The league office didn't have a seat at the table. They didn't authorize the creative direction, and they didn't get to take credit for the success. Insiders suggest that the rage stems from this total loss of leverage. When a player has her own economy, her own gravitational pull, and her own direct line to the biggest brands on earth, the league loses its ability to micromanage her. Usually, a sports league holds the power because the players need the league for exposure. With Clark, the roles have completely flipped. The WNBA needs her for relevance, but she has a global platform that exists entirely outside of their 4 walls. Seeing Clark in a polished, multi-million-dollar ad next to Travis Kelce and Travis Scott highlights a painful truth for the WNBA leadership. They failed to market the league this well for 3 decades. And a 22-year-old rookie did it in 6 months. That kind of embarrassment doesn't lead to gratitude in corporate circles. It leads to bitterness. But that bitterness isn't just about ego. It's about the massive financial disparity that Clark's success has exposed.
Hey, Caitlin! Can you make it from there?
Hey, Caitlin, how about from here?
Come on, guys.
Yeah, she can't make it from there.
No chance.
Caitlin, conmigo, let.
You got it. I'm not even gonna ask.
Hey, Caitlin from here might be impressive. Am I right?
Whatever, Che.
So right here.
From there!
When Clark's rookie salary was revealed, a mere $76,535, the internet nearly broke. People were outraged. How could the most famous female athlete on the planet be making less than a mid-level accountant? But while the fans were angry for Clark, the WNBA leadership was reportedly angry at the conversation itself. Every time a new commercial drops, it's a neon sign pointing to the fact that the league's pay structure is antiquated and arguably broken. Clark's off-court earnings are estimated to be in the tens of millions. Her Nike deal alone is worth a reported $28 million. This creates a public relations nightmare for the commissioner. It invites scrutiny into the league's revenue sharing, its business model, and its historical inability to generate high-level sponsorships. Instead of celebrating Clark's wealth, the league office seems to view it as a threat. Because financial independence equals power. You can't easily discipline or control a player who makes 100 times her salary from outside sources. Stephen A. Smith has been relentless on this point, accusing the league of business malpractice. His argument is that by being petty about Clark's success, the league is signaling to other major sponsors that they are difficult to work with. If the league office treats their own golden goose with resentment, why would a Fortune 500 company want to partner with the organization? This scarcity mindset fighting over who gets the credit, while the house is finally being built, is a classic sign of leadership that is out of its depth. And nowhere was this more apparent than the decision to leave Clark off the biggest stage in the world. Perhaps the most glaring example of this internal sabotage was the decision to exclude Caitlin Clark from the Olympic roster. On paper, it made zero sense. If the goal is to grow the game and put the best product on the global stage, Clark was an automatic choice. She brings the eyeballs. She brings the excitement. But the decision-makers went a different way, citing seniority and paying your dues.
CEO, do you just put the base pay in there? You put their bonus, you put their stock options, you put everything. Caitlin has the ability to make up to $500,000 just in WNBA wages this year. So, of course, they're just looking at a base which is collectively bargained. And actually, it's low because she's the number one pick. She'll make a little more than that. But she also has millions and millions of dollars of endorsements. She's actually, because she declared to become pro, her endorsements are higher in dollar value. She has a global platform now, not just a U.S. platform. So she's going to do just fine, as will the top players in the league, as every league does. Also, there's comparisons to the men. Those men's leagues are 75 to 120 years old. We're tipping off our 28th season. I would say if you looked at them 28 seasons in, we're further ahead. But I realize we still have a lot of work to do, and it's all about the ecosystem.
This is the old guard philosophy in action. In the WNBA's traditional culture, you don't get to be the star just because you're the best or the most popular. You have to wait in line. You have to suffer through the low charter flights and the empty arenas that the veterans endured for years. Clark, by no fault of her own, bypassed all of that. She entered the league with chartered flights already being negotiated because her presence made them a necessity. She entered with sold-out arenas. To the veterans and the league traditionalists, this felt like an insult to their struggle. The snub wasn't about basketball talent. It was a message. It was the league and its associated committees saying, "We are still in charge." They were willing to sacrifice millions of potential viewers and a massive marketing opportunity just to put a rookie in her place. It was a move rooted in ego, and as analysts have pointed out, it was a move that backfired spectacularly. All it did was solidify the narrative that the establishment is actively rooting against its biggest draw, and this hostility isn't just staying in the boardroom. It's spilling onto the hardwood. In any other professional league, the commissioner's job is to protect the stars. The NBA has rules to ensure you can't just flagrantly target superstars without serious consequences. Why? Because the league's bottom line depends on those players staying healthy. But in the WNBA, the protection for Clark has been virtually non-existent. We've all seen the highlights. The blindside hits, the hard fouls that have nothing to do with basketball, the verbal taunting that goes beyond typical trash talk. While competition is great, there's a thin line between playing hard and targeting. Many believe the physical hostility Clark faces on the court is a direct reflection of the hostility she faces from the league office. When the leadership doesn't set a tone of respect for their star, it sends a green light to the rest of the league. If the commissioner is seen rolling her eyes at Clark's success, Why wouldn't an opposing player feel comfortable taking a cheap shot? The jungle rules that seem to apply to Clark are a symptom of a leadership void. By refusing to acknowledge her unique impact, the league office has effectively removed the superstar whistle that usually protects a league's assets. They are letting her be targeted, perhaps hoping she be knocked down a peg, not realizing that if she gets hurt, the entire league's momentum goes up in smoke. To understand why there's so much resentment, you have to look at the numbers. Before Clark, the WNBA was a league that many people wanted to succeed but few actually watched. Ratings were stagnant, and the league was heavily dependent on outside support. Then, the Clark effect hit. TV ratings skyrocketed by over 300%. Ticket prices for Indiana Fever games rivaled NBA playoff tickets. Merchandise sales hit all-time highs. For the marketing teams at the WNBA office, this should have been a moment of reflection. Instead, it seems to have triggered a defensive response. For decades, these executives claimed the reason the league wasn't growing was because of lack of investment. Then, one player proves that if the product is exciting enough, the investment and the audience will follow immediately. This exposes the incompetence of the previous marketing strategies. It proves that the audience was always there. The league just didn't know how to reach them. Rather than admitting they needed a fresh perspective, the leadership has doubled down on the idea that everyone is responsible for this growth. Not just Clark. While it's true that the league has many talented players, the data is undeniable. People are tuning in for the logo threes and the magic. By trying to dilute her impact, the league is actively working against the very data that could make them billionaires.
Commercial. Lisa Bluter was in the commercial, Travis Scott was in the commercial, Travis Kelce was in the commercial, Jason Kelce was in the commercial, like the podcast thing, which we're going to get to that.
Is the clock ticking for the current leadership? Rumors are starting to circulate among team owners that the league's management is ill-equipped for this new era. The owners are business people. They see the sold-out arenas and the massive jersey sales, and they want to capitalize on it. If the commissioner is viewed as a bottleneck, someone who is more interested in protecting the old ways than in making the league a global powerhouse, she won't last long. The tension reached a breaking point during a televised interview where the commissioner was asked about the toxic discourse and physical targeting surrounding Clark. Her response was a word salad of corporate non-answers that managed to upset almost everyone. She failed to defend her star, and she failed to address the very real concerns of the fans. It was a moment that showed she was more afraid of upsetting the old guard than she was of losing the new audience. The reports of rage coming from the top weren't just about one commercial. They were a warning shot. There is a fundamental rot in how the league is being managed. If you have a product that the whole world wants to buy, and you're mad at the product for being too popular, you've already lost the battle. The rage coming from the top is the rage of someone who knows they're being outshined and potentially replaced. We are at a crossroads in sports history. One path leads to the WNBA becoming a legitimate rival to major sports leagues, with massive TV deals, global icons, and a sustainable business model. The other path leads back to the shadows, where the league remains a niche product, held back by internal politics and a refusal to embrace change.
Commercial. It was super hype, and they also launched the campaign From Anywhere, which is just perfect for Caitlin Clark. And obviously, fans have been waiting for a CC signature shoe for years. It feels like years at this point. She is now 2 seasons into the WNBA, and we've gotten the signature logo, and we've also gotten some merch, but that signature shoe is what everybody is on the edge of their seat for. And she recently went on New Heights once again to talk about her signature shoe, and she talked about the new technology that will be going into this shoe.
Caitlin Clark has done her part. She has shown up, handled the pressure, and delivered a level of play that has silenced the critics. She has ignored the rage from the boardroom and the hits on the court, focusing instead on the game. But she can't carry the entire infrastructure on her back forever. If the WNBA doesn't stop the invisible sabotage, if they don't start protecting their stars and leaning into the commercial success that's staring them in the face, they might find themselves in a position where the golden goose decides she's had enough. The world is watching. Not just the fans, but the sponsors, the owners, and the next generation of players. They see the jealousy. They see the double standards. You can't fight the future. You can either be part of it, or you can get out of the way. Right now, it looks like the WNBA leadership is trying to stand in the middle of the tracks, hoping the train will slow down. But this train has already left the station, and it's moving faster than anyone in that boardroom ever imagined. The only question that remains is whether the league will choose to ride that momentum or get crushed by it. It's a drama that is far from over, and the next few months will determine the fate of the sport for decades to come.